there's just something about the Netflix binge.
I do.
It makes it less sticky.
Maybe Netflix is dipping their toes into like sports and everything. Maybe eventually one day.
Cinema. Did you see that they're doing a spotlight of 1974 films, reaching their 50th anniversary?
Oh,
yeah. So
wild.
Ted, come through.
Ted.
All right. Not Ted the show on Peacock. Ted Sarandos.
No.
So,
well, Ted, you also
I hear good things.
I know. Are we going to watch Ted?
I'm mad that I've seen like 3 different Twitter clips that made me laugh, and I'm like,
I know.
I should probably watch the show.
I think if I watch it, it's just going to be like, this is not as good as those clips.
We're watching the highlight reel.
All right, so that's Beef. Dane, number 4.
My number 4 is the lone anime that made the list. It is Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Dane, this was my hardest cut. This is my number 11. And I was really banking on you having this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's
please
go.
do not go into spoilers. I know the main twist because I did see the first episode. So I know how the first episode
I don't have to pretend like it's the same story. Right?
Yeah. I don't think we don't have to. I don't think you can say what the basic premise of the story is, because I knew that going in, because it's revealed in episode 1.
It's how it ends.
People are like, it's a bait and switch. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, if it was a bait and switch, it's the fucking best bait and switch I've ever seen in my entire life. Because the first episode really puts you on like a mindset of, you're like, wow, I'm really watching this, and like it doesn't really feel as special because it's the same thing that I know.
It's literally them repeating lines from Scott Pilgrim, and you're like, oh, is this just gonna be that?
And they kind of like, I feel like they made a comment about that at some point. Maybe there was like one line that they threw away, but from the second episode on, it completely changes tone into a slice of life story with Ramona as the main character, but it's still also entirely about Scott. Like,
and they get the whole cast back. Like
which
the entire cast.
And it's an anime.
Mary, Elizabeth
it's an
Winstead.
anime that is like fully earned the right to be watched in a dub. The dub cast, like I don't want to say they're all incredible, because they're not all voice actors. But there were people that put really, really quality voice acting performances out there. Mae Whitman's character as the fourth Evil X, Roxy, she I thought killed it in voice acting. She might have done some voice acting. Chris Evans, they had so much. I really felt the love for Chris Evans in the second Evil X. I forget his name, but yeah.
Chris Evans is excellent in this. He's really, really
Kieran Culkin.
Yeah,
dude, you get so much
Kieran Culkin.
Kieran Culkin kind of steals the show for like a large chunk of it. It kind of just is like, I just want to spend this entire show with Kieran Culkin.
Yeah, they do like a whole thing where like young Neil writes a movie, but he doesn't really write a movie. But the movie he writes is the movie Scott Pilgrim versus the
Precious
World.
Little Life.
It's insane, and it's really, really, really quality animation. It's clearly just a project that people enjoyed making, getting the entire cast back.
Yeah, and the animation style is like the same as the book.
It's incredibly similar. I don't want to say it's exactly the same, but
heavily inspired. I guess.
The character designs are based from the book.
Dane, so I wanted to ask: have you read all of the books?
I did. After I finished watching Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, I was like, I should probably read the comics.
So how much of how much of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off kind of borrows from the books themselves? Because I know that the books themselves have they go a lot more in depth than the movie is, obviously.
Yeah. So the movie takes place over the course of like a week, and the books take place over the course of like a year. So there's a lot that you don't see in the books. The books are a lot like heavier. thematically. The books, like from watching the movie, you're like, yeah, Scott Pilgrim's kind of a piece of shit, but like he's trying to be better. For the books, for most of it, you're like, Scott Pilgrim is a real piece of shit. And Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. It feels it's pretty disconnected from the books. It's really more of like a celebration of Scott Pilgrim. It's the author Brian Lee O'Malley like looking back on his work like 20 years later or something like that. It's like a guy who's much older looking back on how he felt in his early 20s and kind of pontificating and, you know, maybe not necessarily trying to correct the story, but like, you know, he's grown up. He's learned more.
Sort of update it.
Yeah. But I think what it really comes down to is the entire series is about having fun and making something you love, which was a big criteria. I weighted that heavily in my list. Is if the people who made it appeared to be enjoying making it, that was good enough for me to really identify with. Yeah,
boost it up. Yeah. I watched the first episode, definitely intrigued. I should have shouted out in my little did not finish section at the beginning because this was one of the ones I did start sort of grazing over. So I'll put it back in the rotation. It's on Netflix. It's 10 episodes, isn't it?
I believe so. They're like 30-minute episodes. It's a really easy watch.
It's an easy watch. I will say, as a non-anime boy, aside from Attack on Titan,
and Neon Genesis Evangelion.
That's fucking lame, Hunter. That's fucking lame.
I know. I watch like the most normie of fucking anime.
You watch the most sad boy normie.
Yeah, I watch sad boy anime. I think it says more about me than anything. I watch more sad boy media than most people.
It's 8 episodes.
I think that there is a thing, especially if you are not a normal anime watcher. If you're somebody who's like, oh, I like Scott Pilgrim, but I just want to throw this on, you got to just be prepared that there's going to be a 7-minute anime fight sequence in like each episode.
Yeah, but it's awesome. It's just beautifully fun. Animated.
It is fun. It's really beautifully animated. Some of them are better than others. I will say some of them I was just like, I think it was more so because the story itself is pretty compelling. That's like, it's a way that I've heard a lot of people describe, like whenever they watch like fight scenes in some other movies where it's like, all right, I like kind of tune out for the next like 6 minutes until you're done punching each other so we can advance the plot.
That's me with like most movies.
Yeah, no, and there is a little bit of that in Scott Pilgrim, but it is really beautifully animated. And I think that even without that, the story itself is worth watching, especially if you're a fan. There is a lot of really, really like really smart, without Edgar Wright being directly involved in this.
It's very self-aware.
A lot of Edgar Wright isms in here, especially whenever they are making the Scott Pilgrim movie. The director is Edgar
Wrong. they make a whole joke about how like a straight guy is playing Wallace Wells, like a notoriously straight guy. and it's Kieran Culkin like calling it out. It's just incredible.
That's great.
The humor in it is like fucking spot on. Like it has that sharp wit to it. That is one of the things that I think makes Scott Pilgrim like one of the best movies of the 2010s. And it has that kind of wit to it as a show that I really, it's definitely worth checking out.
I will. It's Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. It's on Netflix. It's Dane's number 4. All right, boys. Top three. My number 3. I know what 2 of your top 3 are, Hunter, but I don't know the third one, and if it's the same as what I'm about to say. And I'm looking.
We might all be relatively.
Are we gonna have? We might have 2 of the top 3s.
I think in the same range here, but guys, my number 3 is The Curse.
Oh no!
Oh my god!
It's because I can't get Showtime. I have to jump through hoops to get Showtime.
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah,
the only one. I haven't watched it.
I'm gonna say it because I'm gonna say that I didn't watch this. I didn't include this on my list because it wrapped up in 2024, so I didn't count it.
let me take
when in reality I just didn't see it.
Let me take you all the way back.
That's the year psycho.
The year 2021, I believe, is when this was announced. I think this was announced in like
it was announced a long time ago.
How many years did we have this on our most anticipated?
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
I like lost my mind when I saw this when it was announced. It's my favorite guy. My favorite actress and like one of the best up and coming minds in film.
Yeah, Benny Safdie, Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone. It is on Paramount Plus with Showtime, which is a big reason why nobody saw it. But it's also a big reason why they let them make this, because this is unlike anything I've ever seen. When we talked about it in passing, I described it as Lynchian, which was like the closest comparison I could get to.
Friend of the pod, Colin, compared it to Twin Peaks.
Yes,
I want to say that,
which is also
Fire Walk with Me, maybe.
Well, Fire Walk with Me is very like
I don't remember what
abrasive and kind of grotesque.
I don't remember. He may have been just talking about the finale,
probably the return,
or the return.
Yeah. The Return, which was the 2017 18 episode like sequel series on Showtime.
Also on Showtime.
Yeah. So it just makes sense why they went to Showtime for The Curse and not at HBO, which is where Nathan Fielder has his new deal, making The Rehearsal and making How To with John Wilson. Guys, I don't even know where to start with this show. I don't even know like what to say. Don't
say too much.
The last episode, which is like quite possibly one of the most bold, and I haven't stopped thinking about the last episode of The Curse since I saw it. It is one of the most insane things I've ever seen on television. And everything leading up until that point is not necessarily like groundbreaking, but it is very strange and off-putting. And it's a show that you can't put into a single box. I was very frustrated watching this season. I went into it with a lot of expectations, a lot of excitement, given, our crew here. And every week I was sitting there thinking, okay, Emma Stone is putting on a great performance. Benny Safdie is here with a curly wig. Nathan is holding his own alongside Emma Stone, which is insane to think that he's like not big really
shout outs to our boy right there.
Not really an actor, and he's just
I think he's acting every day of his life.
Right. Well, that's the thing. That's the
brother. I think you're just talking about somebody as a neurodivergent guy. That's just life as a neurodivergent king is acting every single day of your life.
We held off this episode because if we would have recorded that last week, it would have been before the finale. And if we would have recorded this episode before the finale, I think I probably would have left this season just off my list because
the finale is just that insane.
That's going to put up to number 3.
Because if you were to watch The Curse and then tell me that it was a huge waste of time and it didn't make any sense and it was insanely like weird and cringy and pretentious, I probably would say that you're right. I probably wouldn't disagree with you. I'd be like, yep, that's The Curse. But it is also one of the most insane pieces of art that I've seen. Like putting it at 3 just feels weird because it almost defies like television or like any type of description in the filmmaking medium. It's insanely weird. And every single episode, it just does not conform to any type of real narrative or through line. Like you are following these characters. The general story is that Emma Stone and Nathan Fielder play a couple that have a show that's going to be on HGTV produced by Nathan Fielder's character. And it's a show it's called Fliplanthropy. And it's about them coming into a neighborhood in New Mexico, Espanola, and buying up these dilapidated homes and retrofitting them, basically taking them down and rebuilding these green homes, these sustainable homes. And that's the whole premise of the show. But it's also just about their marriage and how it's falling apart, and how Emma Stone's character relies entirely on her parents, who are essentially slumlords that have a very terrible reputation in this community. So that's kind of the bones of the story. But there's just so much else there that, again, every episode is just insanely weird. And that's where the Lynchian piece comes in, where you just don't know. Your footing is never even. Every single episode, you're like, what is happening? What is going on? I don't understand what is happening. And then the finale comes. And I can't say anything about it. Like, you guys just have to see it and let me know what you think.
Is it just like the finale like makes everything fall into place? Like,
well, I kept watching this show every week thinking, I love Nathan Fielder, I love Benny Safdie, and I love Emma Stone. And I'm so confused why they made this. I don't understand it. I don't know what is happening. That nothing is making sense. And then it made sense. And I needed that finale because it felt like it was going to be a huge waste of time. It felt like this whole show was just going to be this like kind of nothing ball of trying to make a statement about, and I guess it does in a way make a statement about American like modern like liberalism, like modern progressivism, like how do you
some white savior shit.
White savior, but also like performative activism, like a very specific type of white liberal that wants to do things, quote unquote, for the good of the community.
They want their name on top of a hospital wing.
But it's selfish, right? And that's the Emma Stone character is and in a year where we have Emma Stone doing the performance of a lifetime in Poor Things, she's playing this very, very different character here where she is just kind of the worst person. Where she's just a spoiled brat that is trying to convince herself that she's a good person by doing all these good things for the community, where it's just doing things for herself. But that's not really like what you're holding on to. It's very, very difficult to have a central point of gravity in this show. It constantly feels like it's spinning out of its own orbit until this final episode. I don't even want to say anything else because I'm just gonna say too much. But I kept waiting. I was like, I need something. I need this show to do something, because if I just get another episode of me feeling lost, I'm gonna hate this. And they did it. They fucking did it, man. It is unreal what this. I am going to be thinking about this for a long time. I cannot stop thinking about it. I cannot stop devouring theories and interpretations about what I just saw. And it is truly art. It is truly, truly art. It is incredible.
So I almost started watching this 2 days ago. And then the only reason why I didn't was because I was like, this show deserves more than a binge. Like, this is a show that Nathan Fielder and Benny Safdie write every episode. Like, they co-wrote every episode. Nathan Fielder, I think, directs all but
a bunch
two of them.
Yeah.
Like, he directs almost all this. It didn't feel right to give this the binge treatment. I was like, I need to savor this piece of media. And why I have not watched it, I have no good excuse except for I'm waiting for
Paramount Plus with Showtime.
Well, I do have a Paramount Plus with Showtime login that I use to watch Survivor and to watch CBS games, but CBS NFL games. But I, aside from just waiting to find the right time with with Gaia to watch this together, like I don't have a good excuse. I'm so ready for this. This is made in a fucking lab for me to enjoy. And like, you're telling me that Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone, and Benny Safdie came together to make a Lynchian type show? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I don't know what else more you can possibly ask for.
I can hear Hunter's penis swelling up.
Yeah, it's happening.
I'm wearing a Twin Peaks shirt as we record this episode, a Twin Peaks: The Return shirt. So I'm all in.
I mean, honestly, the finale of The Curse reminds me a lot of part 8. It's part 8, right?
Yeah, episode 8.
I can't believe that this is real. I can't believe that they let them do this. I don't know if Fielder and Safdie are going to work on something else again. I would love to see it, but if this is it, like, holy shit, what a work. It really is. It is making me think a lot about the larger Nathan project, because, you know, Nathan For You ended on this beautiful note of finding Frances. We all saw the rehearsal, how that unraveled into whatever that was. I mean, it was incredible.
That got renewed,
masterful.
Right? Well,
yeah, but I don't think they've started on the second season yet.
It's gonna be 3 or 4 years. They gotta make a whole nother
easily. But it's just, this is making me think a lot about what Nathan is trying to do, what his aspirations are, what his view on the world is, how he sees himself as an artist. Like, honestly, guys, I feel lucky to be living in the same life as Nathan Fielder, like to be in the same timeline.
I think this every day.
As him, like, putting these things out into the world, like to have seen the rise of Nathan For You in pretty much in real time, and
as we were just like the only people harping the praise of Nathan For You on this podcast, and we were ambassadors,
and then go to the rehearsal, and now this. It's like, I truly believe that he is an exceptional artist. Mm-hmm. And Benny Safdie, I mean, there's a lot of like good time and Uncut Gems energy in this show. So it's just this perfect synthesis that for a while there felt like it was a little too weird to grab onto. But man, that finale is just out of this world. Unbelievable. Please try everything to not get spoiled on it. If you know what happens, like, just try to keep it to yourself. I've been seeing some people posting on Twitter some pretty spoilery stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen any of it.
No, the most I've been spoiled is by you just now.
I haven't said anything about the finale.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anybody talking
to be
about
honest,
it.
You did a really eloquent job of talking about the show without talking about it.
Yeah, if there's a lot of people that have gone on YouTube and been like, the Curse finale explained, the masochistic filmmaking of the Curse, and if Nathan and Benny, if all they're trying to do is just rile those people up just to fuck with them, I love that. If the whole point of this is just a big joke to get people to be like, let's be very intellectual and examine the deeper meaning of the Curse, that is amazing too. Like, I don't need it to be deep. I just love it. It's just incredible. It's just one of the best things I've seen in a long time. So that's the Curse. It's my number 3. Hunter, number 3.
My number 3 is, I mentioned at the top of like, now we are fully in the golden zone of like, I didn't know you could do this with TV. My number 3 is something that I think is the most lightning in a bottle show that I have ever seen in my life. It's jury duty.
Is it the same? It's jury duty. That's my number 3. Also your
number 3?
That's my number 3.
Man, this fucking show. So this is a show that this is one of the shows that I watched the last episode earlier today.
I don't think people did a good enough job selling it.
Here's the thing. It's a freebie show. It is on Freevee, which is what the fuck are we doing, Amazon? Like we're putting this on your free network.
Yeah, maybe there's something to Freevee. Maybe there's hidden gems on Freevee.
I
don't think so.
I don't think Freevee survives through the end of this year.
I'm just listen. If Freevee at least gave us this, that's incredible. I think that this is like. One, I did kind of forget that Jury Duty came out this year because this is another show that feels like it came out like 3 years ago. Because the whole news cycle that came out after our boy Ronald like went through the whole media cycle coming out of this. So for people who don't know,
did people who don't know, media cycle,
a little bit, yeah.
The premise of this show is that there's a guy who signs up to take part in a documentary.
They want to get the full jury experience.
Yes,
but you can't film court proceedings. That's what was like failed to be explained to me.
Because that's highly illegal because it's a fucking active court proceeding. You cannot actively film that.
And because they can't actively film it,
they stage a court proceeding. The thing is that everyone involved is an actor except for one guy, Ronald, our boy Ronald,
and he has no fucking clue what's going on.
Yeah, down to just being sequestered for 3 weeks while this is all happening. Let me tell you, they really like found gold. There's so many.
This show works only because they found him.
They found the perfect guy.
Yes,
dude.
He somehow is so charismatic, but also just so willing to like go with the flow of everything. Like I aspire to be Ronald. Like if I was put in this exact situation, I can only hope that I would have both the same charisma and also the same like nonchalantness that Ronald has of just willing to just go with the flow and just let things happen as they are happening.
I like to think that I'm like accepting enough to be like, if like an acquaintance I knew from work showed up one day with chair pants, I'd be like, yeah, dude, just let him do his thing. Don't worry about it.
Is so good.
I shout out to the fucking Dollar Tree Domhnall Gleeson, the guy who plays Todd, David Brown. This guy showing up with chair pants is incredible. James Marsden is in the show playing himself,
Emmy nominated performance
as the guy from Sonic and X-Men.
He had a role in 30 Rock. Okay, let's not forget Chris with 2 S's.
He's so fucking funny in this. Down to in the very first episode, which I'll spoil this because it's the very first episode. He hires fake paparazzi to try and get himself out of the court proceedings as they're happening. And then, like, he gets mad at Ronald for being like, "Oh no, I knew who he was because he's the guy from X-Men." And he's like, "You can't throw X-Men." Whenever you say X-Men, people are thinking Hugh Jackman. They don't think James Marsden.
I mean, the even funnier bit that you really can't script is that he's like, I know you from. It's my favorite movie, Sex Drive.
Oh, Sex Drive.
It's that he has a DVD of Sex Drive at his house.
And the fact that movie keeps coming up throughout the season is just...
I found a lot of this season really hard to watch. Like the curse was extremely cringe. Like there are moments where I just could not look at the TV in that show. But Jury Duty in some ways was even more so because at least in the curse, you know that they're all acting.
Everybody's in on it in the curse.
In Jury Duty, I felt so bad for this guy.
It almost is. Well,
it was kind of cruel.
No, it has so the thing is the difference between like something like even like Nathan For You, where it almost feels mean spirited in some respects, is that like everyone at the end of the day, especially because this is 8 episodes long. We gave away the premise of the show, so you know where it's going to in a lot of ways, the 8th episode kind of acts as a coda.
Oh, well, it makes the show.
I think that because of that, it is so much more. It's not mean spirited anyway, and in a lot of ways, like there is genuine connections that are happening because you can only act for so much when you spend 3 straight weeks with a person.
And like the actors at the end of it are like we were acting, but like. That was us. We do actually like you.
Ronald, you're a boy. Like we're thousands.
You fucking rock. You're cool.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think about Survivor a little bit. You know, how you have to in order to play Survivor, you have to lie to people. You can't be a good Survivor player and be honest.
But it's lying while also still letting yourself shine.
Exactly.
I kind of I don't like Impractical Jokers. This is like if we took Impractical Jokers and like did it well. It's just like it's pranking, but it's like harmless pranking. But it is relentless pranking.
I do want to know an alternate version of this because there is like almost a trial of Ronald that happens.
What happens if Ronald's a piece of shit?
That's the alternate.
The show doesn't work.
I also want to see that. Like, what if Ronald just comes for Ken's $2,000? He's like, sorry, bro, you owe me $2,000. You lost in yen or whatever the fucking made up Korean board game that they're playing together is.
He like rats everyone out at Margaritaville for drinking. So they're not allowed to drink at Margaritaville.
I'm sitting
on James Marsden immediately. He's just like, dude, my boy just fucking hired fake paparazzi. I don't know what you're talking about. Dude, the whole bit throughout it that James Marsden is rehearsing for Lone Pine, a Quentin Tarantino film.
He has to practice his line.
Like a blue collar guy. It's so fucking fun. Like,
that's really funny.
The whole scene where they're running lines. That episode, I think, has to be the peak of the series.
So yes, that is my favorite episode.
I felt so bad.
Also, because of the two,
so brutal.
The 2 guys who are, one of them I've recognized before is an actress, Edie Modica, who plays Jeannie, and then Mekhi Leeper, who's this guy who plays Noah, this like Mormon Christian boy. I don't even know who this guy is.
He's a nice, clean boy. He's just a nice,
good
clean
boy. And I don't want to get into spoilers, but their relationship specifically together, and in that one episode, how things evolve, or should I say devolve, is like the funniest shit that I've seen in anything this year. Like I was like keeled over at a certain point, like no, we aren't doing this anymore. And then it's filmed and you're like, I cannot fucking handle what I'm looking at right now. This is unreal. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I saw that they were like, oh, season 2's like is stalled because of the writer strikes, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, how the fuck do you think you can do a season 2 of this?
Wait, they're doing another season?
You can't.
I don't know if it's been renewed. I knew that like there were people that were talking about wanting a second season.
It got too famous.
Nathan just kept going. People don't know about jury duty, but your average person,
especially because the first season is in LA. If you go to like fucking bumfuck nowhere, there's no way that anybody.
Yeah, so the moment this show ended up having wasn't because of Freeview, it was because of TikTok. It got to the point where there was like a New York Times article about how the show blew up on TikTok, which was always very interesting to me because. It was it wasn't because like I Think You Should Leave where like the little clips from I Think You Should Leave really work on TikTok. Clips from Jury Duty don't work on TikTok because you don't have the whole context. The reason it became big on TikTok is because that's where people found out about it. Like you would watch a little promo. You'd watch a little clip and sort of be like, I don't understand this fully. But I want to know more. This seems really interesting. It wasn't because it fit the medium in any way.
It's an all-time great premise. Like a truly all-time great premise that just fucking works.
Yeah, the pitch was The Office, but real.
Yeah. And speaking of, there was also, Ronald has said since, like, he is pretty traumatized from this, like in a real way.
I can imagine. You spent almost a month with people and you're like forming genuine connections and you find out that like it's all faked. Like there's people who come back again, going back to Survivor, where they talk about like they come back and they can't trust like their closest friends and family. Like you have real genuine like fucked up traumatic like trust issues that form. This is that to the nth degree where you get your phone taken away from you. You cannot contact any of your close friends and loved ones. You're just isolated with these people, and then you find out that everything that they were making up around you is all fabricated.
We do spoilers, get the nice closure of like, oh, here's pictures of the cast hanging out with Ronald after the show.
Yeah, and if you go on social media right now,
I hope that they also pay for his therapy though, because
they're all cool now. There was, I don't know which interview it was, but like he said before that like at one point, like after everything was over, he was texting with James Marsden. He was like, I'm really
freaking out.
I'm feeling really scared right now. Like I don't know what's real. Like, can you help me? And like apparently James like called him immediately and was like, listen, man, like this is real. I'm sorry. Like, you know.
Yeah. James Marsden, they really did find the perfect guy because James Marsden is just like a sweetie pie just coming through here.
Jeez. Apparently he starred in a Mint Mobile ad with Ryan Reynolds.
Ronald.
And he appeared.
See, like, are you an actor too? Do you even like me?
Also, he appeared on New Year's Eve with Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen, and he told them that he quit his construction job.
That's awesome.
Good for Ronald.
Good for Ronald.
Proud of him.
Well, he did get paid for being on jury duty.
Spoilers.
No, he's an actor.
I think he's gonna be
He's
set.
not the actor.
He's gonna be set off of this. Like he must have signed. It's Amazon. Like, come on. This was nominated for an Emmy for best series, for best comedy series.
He gets like free acting lessons with James Marsden. Like,
right.
You know,
he does do some good line deliveries. For the most part, they're terrible. But
you see him develop. You see him develop his acting skills.
I could see him being fully off the map and forgotten within 2 years.
I think that's
guys. What are we talking about?
I think that's more than likely where this is going. It's not like he wasn't an actor before this. He's not going to suddenly become an actor.
Well, the only reason this clocks in at numbers 3 is because like my number 1 and 2 could be described as a special interest.
No, but this is truly like the most lightning in a bottle thing ever, where it's like, you're right. Is my boy Ronald going to go on to do anything notable for the rest of his life? Probably not. Will there ever be another season of Jury Duty, especially one that hits like this?
Hopefully not.
Probably not.
Honestly.
Hopefully not. Like, it is something that is so unique that I've never seen anything like this before, and I don't think I will ever see anything like this again. And because of that, it's like I have to honor this for how well executed it is. Drew, you can plug your ears if you want. The last episode is like a coda, and the way that they kind of describe how they put everything together down to the point where they're
like, incredible.
Where they're like, Ronald is onto too much shit. Now we have to rehearse a new scene in a new location because we didn't do this. We have to have a COVID scare just so that we can put him in a room and everybody else can go rehearse.
Why is he interested in the case? What the fuck? This is supposed to be boring.
They're like, he's reading the script right now. I don't know how he's ahead of this.
They really lucked out. They really found the perfect guy.
It's a once in a million shot how they found him.
Yeah. It's as close to a 10 out of 10 without like being a 10 as I think it could get. I'll call it a 9.7 because I've got 2 things above it, but
Jury Duty.
Both
of you guys number 3. I think it's my number 11. I think it's like just shy of the top 10. All right. My number 2 is The Bear.
Save it.
Okay.
That's my number 2 as well.
Okay. Yeah. All right. My number 2, I think we can get into it now, is How To with John Wilson.
Okay.
Another final season.
So here's the thing about How To with John Wilson. This is one of my favorite shows ever made. Like I feel fully confident saying that what he does is really unlike anything else that I've ever seen. If I was to make a graph of my neurodivergent kings, where it's just like Nathan Fielder is like chaotic evil, and Joe Pera is like chaotic good, then there's somewhere where John Wilson floats like right in the middle, where he's just showing everything
really very neutral,
everything exactly as it is, where he's just showing like exactly the world how it is, both good and bad. And I really think that this last season might be the best season of the entire series. I think that he kind of finds the balance of like, he will show you the insane clicks that you never knew existed. Like the Avatar click, he'll show you that with the vacuum people.
The vacuum society.
Which is something that starts off as like thing where you're like laughing at and you're joking at, and then becomes so deeply profound. Same thing for the I shouted out Better Call Saul earlier, but the guys who are allergic to electricity, very Better Call Saul.
It's fucking fake. I'll die on that hill.
Okay.
It makes me angry.
You're probably right, but I listen. There's still like an empathy to be had, and that's where John is coming from.
Well, the problem is they believe it's real. Like that's what this show.
Yeah,
is.
It's all about like
it's just letting people do their thing.
Yeah,
just here's a camera. Just go off. Let's go.
And
let's
really just how you can find community in anything. That's one of the defining traits of this show is like John in a lot of ways feels like a person who does not have a specific community that he finds his own. It's always trying to find that niche community that's so tight, whether it is people who are learning the Na'vi language, whether it's people who are collecting vacuums, whether it's bird watchers, whether it's people who want to freeze their bodies so that they can one day be unfrozen with
unbelievable, man.
in the future.
Yeah, it's
unreal.
It's really great stuff. This show also functions as I think one of the best New York shows of all time. Like Sex in the City level. Like New York
is it better than
important to the
30
show.
Rock?
Probably.
It's more authentic of a New York show than 30 Rock.
Yeah, because 30 Rock's caricatures, but
it's the filth and the beauty.
Also, 30 Rock is like mostly an interior show. You know what I mean? We're mostly in the building of 30 Rock, but I think the best episodes of this show are explorations of how like unglamorous and disgusting New York City is.
How to find a public bathroom.
Yeah, he tackles it in a lot of ways, but the first 2 episodes are the public bathroom thing, and then he gets into noise pollution a lot.
I think I've seen only half of this season. It's got like the Seinfeld syndrome where it's like I can't watch more than 1 episode and I need like a week's time in between episodes because of how fucking weird it just made me feel.
It's so fucking awesome.
The finale, how to track your package, I think is masterful.
I think that's like a top 3 to top 5 episodes.
There's also the penultimate episode, how to watch birds. I think that's the one that ends with like a full like fabrication.
Yeah.
Which is like he's very much trying to make a point about like how he makes the show, where everyone always thinks that, or not everyone, but there must be a contingent of people that think that there's no possible way that what he's capturing.
Yeah, like I think he's truly bothered by people online saying that the show's fake. That's what
like. There's no way you went to this place and you met up with the Bang CEO and went to back at his house.
I showed that episode to my parents, and my mom's like, "Are you going to put on a comedy?" And I'm like, "Well, like." No, and
might.
I don't want to watch it. It's a comedy, and I
this
put
is
that
not a show to recommend to people.
My mom is just like sitting there, like pretending to not laugh, and my dad is like occasionally chuckling. And it's such a weird, weird show to recommend to people.
The last like year or two working sort of in local government, you end up just meeting a lot of just random residents, and if you just like chat with them. Every now and then they will just drop something absolutely nuts on you. And like
you'll meet people like
this. And so John just like is A, he's really good at finding those people, and B, he's really good at like just like Nathan Fielder is like, if they say something that's a little crazy, like he will
nudge.
Yeah, he will be like therapist. Will be like, hold on, let's focus on that.
Yeah,
like
well, let's explore gooning.
And also, it's leveraging. I have a camera, and like the amount that people are just, whether you know it or not, like somebody just has a camera on you, and they say that they're with HBO, and they're like, yeah, no, you can come back to my house.
Come into my house. It's my wife's birthday / baby shower. Who gives a shit?
And
exactly. It's like,
and it's just stuff, you know. And some of it's people who like, you can tell they're not even like super camera hungry. They just like, they sort of like the idea of just someone listening, and like you end up with that the guy who like really casually drops the fact that he trained the 9/11 hijacker.
Oh my god.
And he's proud of him for like doing a good job with 9/11.
That's insane.
I haven't got there yet, but
it's in the second episode.
I think that's how to work out.
Or third episode.
So there's so many little moments like that are just so like where it's like you know, and some things that are less insane, but like it's what some people think like is interesting about them, or like what will make good TV. They're like, oh yeah, you want to hear some, like the organ shipper, the guy who
my god,
who like he's like, hey, you should, you know what you should do for the thing? You should ask me why they call me Vince the Prince. And then John does, and he's like,
no, I wasn't ready.
Yeah, well, and then he does, and so then he finally he's like, so why do they call you Vince the Prince? And he's like, oh, I guess it just rhymes.
Yeah, that's his thing. Like it's
that's so funny. It really rocks. And then on top of that, you know, you get the John Wilson arc of like just being like a super lonely guy.
Yeah,
like, we get into his existential sort of crisis.
It felt really sad.
Yeah, season. Well, the Emmys thing, in the after party he goes to, where he's just like watching Martha Stewart and like being really bummed out.
They don't let him into like the bigger.
They literally don't let him into the HBO party.
It's
like
awesome.
He's not invited to his own company's party. Yeah, basically, he's an outsider.
It's that's what it is. That he's sort of an outsider everywhere, but like the places he's more included are like with other weirdos. Like the vacuum episode is my favorite.
Incredible.
That's
of the season one.
That really is in the argument for the best episode.
Yeah, well, it's
series.
Just it works so good every time that he does it. It works so well that I really wish sometime. I love that the show has sort of a very loose format to it and is like super. There is a thread, you know, a thematic thread to each episode, but like where we go could be anywhere. That's great. Every now and then though, I'm like, man, if this show had a structure where like every episode he goes to like a weird convention and just like talks to the people and like sort of just like every time he does that and he will just sort of ask people why they like this thing, like it gets so insanely heavy and deep, and you learn about trauma. You know, you learn about how these people process grief in weird ways. And it becomes weirdly emotional. It happens every single time over the course of the series.
It's like it's Channel 5 without the Andrew Callahan type character, like intervening his own self and his own personality into the story. Yeah. Because the whole thing with John Wilson is he is always just kind of there as the narrator behind all this. Yeah. He's never going to put himself in front of the camera and make himself an integral part of where the story's going. He's just going to follow the story, and then like almost in it, at least he makes it feel this way in post and editing. He makes it feel like he is finding his own story arc within somebody else's story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is never forcing it to go a certain way.
Yeah. Like there's, like the one episode where he like really sort of casually dips into narrating his like gay experience in middle school, and then he ties it into his lack of like understanding of like masculine sports culture, and it's so like effortless, and it's like it's almost just like a minute or two of the episode's time, and you're just like, holy shit, John.
It's such a like deep like revelation that is just kind of like revealed almost like flippantly within the context of the story. It's incredible.
And then and so on top of all this like depth and all the cool stuff, we've talked plenty about like all the cool stuff this show does over the years. It just every single episode has moments that are just like so funny, like tiny little, like I wrote down just a bunch of little moments while I was watching it where like I think when he's at like the Mets game, he one of the lines he narrates over like himself shooting is, "There's a big meatloaf for all the male photographers in the press room," because there is like literally a press room that's like 50 male, like 50 dudes, and there's a giant meatloaf sitting there. And then there's the one Mets guy who has like it like basically is just like flipping through. I don't even remember what it was, like playing cards or something. And John's like, "It's like a flip book that doesn't change." That's a great line.
I really love just it's some of the lines and then cut away to like just a non-actor that are just so good. Like in the How to Watch Birds episode, it's the thing where he's just like, you know, you could just lie and just make up anything. He's just like, I saw a blue jay. So my other guy's just like, you know, it's that type of season that they'd be flying through here. Like, it's just like these types of guys who he just finds in the wild.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Nathan produced project, and Nathan's whole thing is manipulating reality. Yeah. How a camera changes a social situation, or how you can try to twist a fabricated situation to try to feel more real. Like that, those are the two extremes that he operates.
And how you can, as a documentarian, incorporate your own sort of narrative arc into the story.
Well, I mean, I was going to say that this fits into like this middle ground in between those extremes, where he is just showing you like raw life. He's able to break through the facade and give you something more real than what anyone else could do, because it's John. I don't think anybody else could break into all these scenarios and capture them in the way that he could.
Yeah,
I think that people are somehow more willing to be honest in their way in front of John.
Even more than Nathan, I think.
Oh, well, yeah, because Nathan is
like trying to piss people off all the time, but he also is good. Like if someone is cooking, he's so good at like letting them. Like that's when he chills out and stops being an asshole, is when someone is like going crazy.
But John is just kind of always operating in that tempo of like, where do you want to take me? Like I'll push myself to like keep staying with you if I find you interesting, but otherwise, like I'm not going to persuade you in one way or the other. I just want you to show me your life.
If anything, genuinely, because like I said, I like the sort of unstructured vibe of the show. I just wish that there had been a lot more of it, I guess, now that it's over. Because like, for example, like when it's 18
episodes.
Well, and when we go and talk to the gooning guy, that footage was for something else that he didn't like. He introduces it as like, "Oh, you were talking to this guy for like a different thing that didn't go anywhere." There was probably he was probably trying to do something with that, like an episode something, and he ended up figuring out a use for it. But I bet he has so many encounters and meetings like that that are just
blame didn't fucking end up Zaslav. This is a total like a fucking HBO Warner Discovery acts that happen.
No, John said that he wanted to end it because he wants to try other things. He wants to take this concept and kind of expand it a little bit.
I do want
beyond just how to blend.
I want to see where it's going to go. Like I just want to see what else John can do, because I think that he has a real eye that even if he doesn't want to necessarily like make something as like narrative driven from a director perspective as something like this is, where it's him inserting himself in like kind of loosey goosey. I think that he has a true directorial eye where he knows where to like follow something interesting with the camera and to capture it, and he knows the right people to follow. I would be interested to see what even something like a more black and white documentary would look like from John Wilson. Like I think that he can kind of do whatever he wants, and I'm into it.
Someone posted a link to the vacuum cleaner episode on r/vacuum cleaners.
Nice.
And the first comment is, does anyone actually know who John Wilson is?
Ouch. Tough. Yeah. That's tough.
That rocks. I'm on board with that. Hell yeah. Stay anonymous, King.
Honestly, that's probably for the best for him. Like,
he's gonna have an Edgar Allan Poe type shit where he's
32,000 people on this subreddit. for vacuum cleaners.
Those of us who know will fucking know. I'm really this is truly like one of my favorite shows ever. Like this is one that was like, I cannot believe this series exists. I'm so happy that it exists and that it came into our lives at this point in time.
I wanted to touch on the finale because I found that to be
well, that's the question. Are you going head or body for cryo? Because we're all freezing ourselves, right? We're all getting into cryo. Are you going just the brain, or are you going full body cryo?
Well, if I do just the head, I need to save those vocal cords.
I don't know
for potting.
I will say potting. I am
sure. Like you include the neck.
It's got to sever right below the
Drew, would you? So Drew, I have a question for you. Would you?
Yes, I did
swap bodies.
I did castrate myself as a teenager. Just because I felt the sexual urges to be annoying.
That was one of the most fucked up things,
dude.
That man
fucking ending to this show. Man, the characters that they find along the way here,
unbelievable. That's How to with John Wilson. It's my 4 Hunters 2. Dane, you said your number 2 was
my
the bear.
Number 2 is the bear.
So my number 1 is Succession.
Succession didn't make my top 10.
What's your number 1?
No.
That's a surprise. That's a surprise.
Succession.
All right. Your Succession was your number 7. I had to put this at number 1. I really wanted to put The Bear at number 1 because I felt like that show just had more heat behind it. But Succession, we are going to get more seasons of The Bear. Like we don't know how high the ceiling for The Bear is yet. This is the end of Succession. This was the final season. It is going to go down as one of the all-time great dramas. I think you can put it up there with Breaking Bad, Sopranos, Mad Men, like all the heavy hitters. It deserves to be up there. I loved how they ended this. This was a really unpredictable season, lots of twists and turns. And at the core was just these kids, these crazy kids. Kieran Culkin, Sarah Snook, our boy Ken, Jeremy, Germstrong.
Don't forget about
killing
Connor.
Wait staff.
Can't forget about Connor. Never forget about Connor. It just kept surprising me, and every single week when I tuned in to watch it, I felt like I was taking in a full meal. It just gave me everything I wanted. I felt nice and satiated, a big full belly, and lots of laughs, lots of tears. It won all the Emmys. I really think that it's well-deserved, like beyond well-deserved. They knocked it out of the park. The 3rd episode, Connor's wedding, I was levitating watching that.
There were like some like truly brave writing decisions that they made with the 4th season. And yeah, I kind of think that the finale kind of fell just a hair flat for me. I think, and it kind of left us.
The oldest
hold on.
boy.
Before you guys get into this, listen. I didn't watch this. I didn't watch The Bear. I didn't watch whatever your fucking number 1 is, Dane. I'm gonna go.
If you did?
I know you didn't. My number 1 is a fucking surprise.
I'm gonna go ahead and dip. I think this is my time.
Go to bed, you
we'll
little
see
baby
you next
boy.
week, everyone.
For the WBAMmies.
It's the WBAMmies.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night, Drew.
So Succession, when they all fucking die at the Red Wedding, that was really nuts, right?
That was insane.
When the bomb goes off.
When Oppenheimer,
when Waystar Royko,
when they have to do the handshake in orbit.
That was, when they had the For All Mankind crossover, I never would have suspected that. Never. No. Drew has now left the room. No. I really love the ending. The thing is, it feels insulting having Succession as low as I have it now that I look at it on the list, because I think that I think that some of the episodes of this season are like all-timers. You mentioned Connor's wedding. I think that the double whammy of America Decides, the election night episode, and then Church and State, which is
the funeral,
that is the Kieran Culkin showcase.
in there.
Yeah,
Is he in there?
I'm kind of
Can
like
we get him out?
There's like one episode that stands out to me, and it's Connor's wedding episode. That's the episode that stands out to me. For the rest of the season, it's individual performances.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fair.
And so like the acting is like
Yeah,
way up high, and the writing just kind of felt good enough, which like
maybe similar to what I was saying about For All Mankind, how like
you
felt like
on a scale.
You felt like in previous seasons it was so high.
Much like For All Mankind, I think that season 2 was an incredible high point for Succession.
Season 2 is like a 10 out of 10.
Nonstop bangers.
That is banger after banger.
I don't want to say that season 4 was bad, because it was in no way, shape, or form bad. And I don't want to say it wasn't even like good. It was definitely good. But I guess I just don't feel the same way about the entire season, right?
Well, I think if you haven't seen Succession, maybe pause and come back if you don't want the details spoiled. I think really what I want to say is key to the big thing that happens in this show, in this season, which is the death of Logan Roy. And the idea of these kids living without their father for the majority of the final stretch of this story. And it really defines so much of what happens, where you have this totemic force of a character that defines the entire series is suddenly gone, and it leaves this vacuum, and everything that happens after that, every decision made by every single character is contingent upon that void.
Right.
It's all chaos after he's gone. And it's like, it's chaos up until then. I think like going into the season, I was expecting, Logan to die at some point. And I think the craziest decision they made, and I think it paid off for them, was killing Logan Roy as early in the season as they did.
Yeah. It felt insanely brave, but also kind of expected.
It's brave, but also I will say that, like, especially as time has passed, it does really kind of recontextualize the entire show, where it's like Brian Cox is the son.
He was it.
That the entire show revolves around.
And you can't you can't fill that
without exactly. Without him, it's just a bunch of other fucking like bursting comets that are going off, but none of them are Logan Roy.
Yeah.
And that is
Skarsgård in there a little bit, but it's not.
No, but
that's the same.
That's not the same. No, like that's not. That I think that is one thing that I will say about the last season, which I do love, and I think that another day this could easily be my number 4.
It's my top 15 for sure.
I think that this could easily be up there, but similar to what you said, Dane, about this being a season, particularly of performances. I kind of think of this as a season of episodes, where I don't really feel that way about the rest of the series, where I'm just like, oh, this is the Swedish or
they're trying to sell stuff. They're in Congress.
Yeah, like there's the different episodes.
Living Plus.
Which again, those are really good episodes. Like Living Plus is so funny, and it has like some incredible beats within the episode themselves, but it's just like it is kind of a thing where it's like it is missing the one centripetal force that the entire show has revolved around, where it's just like we just all want to appease daddy at the end of the day. We just all want to get a kiss from daddy.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the magic of this season, is that's the whole point, is they're not serious people. Yeah. That's the whole thing.
That is his final line being like, you are not serious people and
they can't
fucking good.
I love you, but you're not serious people, and they can't function.
I say that all the time to people. that's I totally forgot that was this season. That's like that's a contender for the best delivered line of 2023 for sure.
It's so like exasperated. It's so just like almost like exhausted.
Yeah. Well, he comes to them almost with a truce. Yeah. Is what happens. That's in episode 2. And it really is the closest thing to an olive branch where you just don't see these people actually being a family. You don't see them being functional as siblings, as sons and daughter. And at that point, it's too late. At that point, it's a whole lifetime of trauma and conflict. And, no amount of attempts at reconciliation is going to fix anything. And then he's gone. And they can't ever recover. I think that part of what I love about the final episode is that they're all trapped in their own prisons. They all made their own bed. I think the only one that escapes is Roman. I think he's the only one that is able to break free.
He's just in his own prison, and I love him for that.
He does, but also they're all so deeply broken. He's the only person who has that kind of. It almost works to his benefit, that he has as much of an outward outburst as he does, because at least he expresses his emotions in a way that nobody else does.
Well, you also got to mention Connor, who I think was never really in the same prison. Yeah. He was always on the outs, and I think this is a great season for Connor because he was always the butt of the joke throughout the entire series.
And now he's a presidential candidate.
Man, he got 1%.
Our boy Alan Ruck.
He cracked 1%. And this season shows him as he gets it.
He's aware of the games. He's been aware of them the entire time. He's just got the luxury of not having to give a shit about it.
Exactly. So there's so many levels to all this, and I think that when it comes to like you said, the acting just being so top notch, I don't think it comes close. I think that these are the best performances on television by a country mile, by far and away.
When you look at the top 4, top 5 of a cast, I don't really think it rivals. Whenever you go Jeremy Strong, Kieran Culkin, Sarah Snook, Alan Ruck, Brian Cox. What on television rivals that?
And they're all doing something different. They're all playing slightly different characters. They're all dealing with this situation in very different ways. And they're all coming to it from different perspectives. And then you start to get into the next tier, like Carl and Frank and all these guys. There's just so much to love there.
Fucking Carl.
Jerry. I wanted a little bit more from Jerry this season.
We love Jerry.
But yeah, all these bugs start crawling out once the rotting wood flips over, all the fucking bugs start to crawl out. And who's the biggest bug? It's Tom.
It's fucking Tom.
It's Tom.
It's our boy Matthew. I didn't even mention Matthew McFadden, who's my favorite performance in the entire show.
I watched a 4-hour video essay analyzing the Machiavellian themes and Succession, and it's really where I think it firmly cements itself as a show that even if I'm not super into it, I'm always more than willing to talk about it and listen
savor
to it. It's a very interesting show, and it has been. And even in a 4th season, I think that it was not as good as previous seasons. It still retains that element.
Greg the Egg, he got the sticker on his head.
Fucking egg.
I love this show. I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss it so much. It's my number 1. Hunter, it's your number 7.
Before we pop into Hunter's number 1.
Because you guys know my number 1.
Because I have things to add to Hunter's number 1.
Okay.
Do we want to do my number 1 before Hunter's?
Yeah, we can end with the bear.
Okay.
Let's do your number 1.
Wait, what? You guys know that's what? Oh.
My number 1 is an animated show. And what it really comes down to is the show that I spent the most time watching this year was Adventure Time.
Oh, wow.
I watched so much fucking Adventure Time.
Oh, my God. Is your number 1?
And number 1 is Fionna and Cake.
Let's go. That rules. Dane, I love that.
Every single episode was an absolute fucking ripper. So Adventure Time kind of doesn't end Ice King's story in a necessarily satisfying way, right? This is a show that's entirely about Ice King and the people living in Ice King's head.
Oh my God.
This is like easily the best voice acting that Tom Kenny has ever done in his entire life.
SpongeBob himself.
Yeah, it's better than SpongeBob. They let Fiona say "God damn it." They curse in this show. They don't just say like "what the floogity floops."
Yeah, it's on Max.
Yeah, it's an adult show. There's gore. Okay,
oh, wow.
There's animated gore, and it's really just like a character study in like depression. It's two people who are unhappy with their lives. And basically, they kind of find a way to restore their life, give their life some meaning. Ice King and like, oh, I can become the Ice King again and give Fiona her magic world. And Fiona like, if I help Ice King on this quest, my world will stop being this normal world and will go back to being Adventure Time world. Every episode, I think, is named after a character that shows up in the episode. So it's like the first episode is Fiona, the second episode is Simon, who is Ice King minus the Ice King. It's not a show that I can like recommend to somebody who hasn't watched Adventure Time.
Yeah, you need some of that intro knowledge.
And it's not because I don't think that people who haven't watched Adventure Time couldn't enjoy it, but there's so much lore that goes into this show. Like episode 4, you meet a squirrel. And if you haven't seen Adventure Time, you're like, oh, this is a funny talking squirrel with fruits. And if you've watched Adventure Time, you're like, this guy's got cursed fruits. He's a fucking bad guy. What the hell's going on? Like it was just a show that I think my top I cried a little bit in Jury Duty. I'll admit it. My top 5 is shows that made me cry in some way, shape, or form. And Fiona and Cake, just a perfect spinoff.
Wow.
So I will say I haven't watched any of Fiona and Cake yet. I really want to, because whenever this show came out, it actually started me to watch Adventure Time, because I actually missed a lot of Adventure Time as it was coming out. That kind of came out like after the Comedy Central, or not Comedy Central, the Cartoon Network adults. Well, it was just Cartoon Network Royal.
Oh,
right?
They kind of like killed Toonami at some point, and I think it was around in the time where they were like right.
It was at like 8
they brought Toonami
so
back.
It was like kind of in between Adult Swim and end of Cartoon Network.
It's from the regular show area. It was like it started airing right when we were like in high school.
They did 280 episodes.
Yes. There's so much fucking Adventure Time.
So regular show was kind of the last of that era of Cartoon Network that was like actively watching as it was coming out. And I watched some Adventure Time, but I kind of missed a lot of it. And I will say, one of the benefits of this show coming out was that I started watching through Adventure Time, and I've watched through about half-ish of it now. And Adventure Time is incredible. It's good.
You like don't have to watch Adventure Time until like season 4, pretty much. That's where I don't want to say you don't have to.
It's still so much fun though. Like it is so much fun.
This Adventure Time is just the show that I spent the most time watching this year. I just kept rewatching Adventure Time because Adventure Time is that good.
It's incredible. I was always more of a regular show over Adventure Time,
which has a banger finale.
Which regular show is also just fucking incredible. But Adventure Time is incredible, and I started watching through more of it because of this show. I haven't quite gotten to Fiona and Cake because I wanted to finish Adventure Time first, but I'm so happy to see this so high on your list.
Yeah,
I was wondering if Futurama was going to make your list, the new season of Futurama, because I started watching it. It's pretty good.
There's some highs.
The thing is that it's pretty good.
The highs are pretty good. The lows are.
They keep bringing that back.
Well,
it just won't stay dead.
This was the first comeback in a while. That's another thing that it's funny you brought up Adventure Time or Fionna and Cake, because in the same way that like that show made me go back and watch through Adventure Time, Fionna or Futurama being rebooted made me go back and watch through like almost all of Futurama, and man, Futurama fucking rules. I used to watch so much of it back in the day on Comedy Central, and now just going back through it, I'm like, man, this show is just as good as I remember it being. Like the highs of this show are just so fucking good. And I know like it's always going to be compared to Simpsons because it's the same creator. It's Matt Groening. Like just of like, what are you?
Matt Groening did
the highs?
Futurama, never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
it's Matt Groening didn't do.
No, not
yeah.
But comparing Futurama to Simpsons, where it's just like that's the easiest and most apt comparison. But the thing is that Futurama, there's so much less of it that the hit rate overall of it is still better than the Simpsons, because the highs of the Simpsons might be better than the highs of Futurama, but there's still so much less of Futurama that when the highs hit, there's like 4-ish seasons where it's like I don't know, like what would you say, Dane? Like 3 to 7 of Futurama, or just like I'm
like a 2 to 4 and then the movies guy.
Yeah,
Seasons
well, I guess I'd say like 2 to 5, 6. I like some of the like mid.
The Comedy Central stuff is pretty good, but it's different.
The movies are good. The movies are great. Like it's a great TV movie show.
Yeah,
it bangs.
Wow, Fionna and Cake is Dane's number one. What a pick! All right, it's time to wrap it up with
the hit comedy show The Bear.
So let's
the
talk
sensation of 2023.
Here's the thing. I know this is another show. It's winning all the awards. It's winning fucking everything. Here's the thing about The Bear season 2.
It's that good.
Might be one of the best seasons of television I have ever seen in my fucking stupid piece of shit little life. Okay. This is a thing where I just saw it and I was like, it's the same way I felt whenever Fleabag came out, which I think is the closest thing whenever I'm just like, this is a 10 out of 10, put this up on like the mantle, give this all of the plaudits, where I felt the same way after seeing Fleabag, where I was like, this is a perfect piece of art and we can never obstruct this. And this is kind of different because Fleabag is almost like a long movie in a way. It's like a 3-hour story.
Yeah.
And the Bear was like, 8 little mini movies almost, right?
But it's so television. It's
a workplace comedy.
It's different from Fleabag.
It's so uplifting.
It can have the full range of emotions sometimes within the same episode.
Yeah, I don't think there was a single episode I didn't cry.
No,
but I was also laughing in all of those episodes.
I think that this is like truly one of the most perfectly crafted things I've ever seen in my entire stupid little godforsaken life. I think that this is something that I cannot get over. Like I was just before we came here, because I really wanted to rewatch through the season before us doing this episode. I ran out of time doing that. But the thing that secured it at the number 1 spot was I just read the plot synopsis of each episode, and it like kind of like choked me up whenever reading, because I was like, oh, Honeydew is the episode where Marcus like he meets Will Poulter and they have this like kind of like a little bit of chemistry going on there, and you're like, are they gonna fuck in Copenhagen right now? Like they have these little moments. Our fucking girl is out here. Io is just out here, just absolutely killing it. Absolutely killing it.
It's like it's just a season of like. You get like 2 or 3 episodes, I think, at the beginning, and then like the final 2 episodes are like, here's everybody back together. But the bulk of the season is like, here's a character and here's their individual journey.
Yeah. Little stories, side stories.
And so you get to like really, really get to know these characters in a way that you probably wouldn't have necessarily gotten to do. Like Marcus living on that boat and feeding the cat and working at fucking 4 or 5 a.m. making the desserts and stuff. It's I don't know. So my experience watching the show was when it dropped. I think that was when I started watching it. I hadn't watched the first season until the second season dropped. And I watched the first season and I was like, this is good TV. I can't believe I waited this long to watch it. Can't wait to dive into the second season.
I mean, it has that energy. It has like that kind of nonstop.
Yeah, it's always at an 11 out of 10.
Yeah, there's like always a velocity to it.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there and I get to it's season 2, episode 6. The title is Fishes. It's
Fishes. Yeah. The Jamie Lee Curtis, John Barenthal, every
Bob
fucking person. Ever seen John Mulaney, everybody that you know and love.
Keep in mind that I'm the person who had It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on their top 10 list. I'm watching this episode and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm fucking stressed with how much people are shouting right now. Like this is like I fall asleep to this shit normally. This is too stressful actually.
Yeah. There's actually too many Italians in this room.
Well, that's the Carmi. Every character
there are too many cooks.
Every character has to have their kind of little backstory journey, and this is the Carmi one. Like we need to learn what his family is like, and a lot of this season is trying to deviate away from the panic attack anxiety of the first season. You're going
do a good job.
Well, no, I mean up until this point, you have a lot more kind of sensitive human moments because the restaurant's shut down. They're remodeling it. They're not actively like trying to crank out 55 burgers, 55 steaks, 55, and you get to this episode and you learn like, okay, maybe the reason why Carmi wanted that is because that's where he comes from. Like that's where he feels at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the reason.
He wants the stress. He wants the yelling and the chaos.
It explains.
That's kind of the thesis of it all, right? Is it's like if you're doing what you love, it doesn't matter how stressful it is because you love what you're doing, and that you take that with it.
Yeah, but it's also infused with so much abuse, like a constant verbal abuse and trauma, where this is not a healthy family dynamic at all. So even if he has this love for it and he has this connection to his mother and his family,
and this might be, it is a very toxic environment, but I feel like the show is constantly trying to say like, hey, like it doesn't have to be like it is, but like you can always be better.
You're right.
You can improve yourself.
But it's a thing about like, what do you innately want? Do you want to be better? Do you crave to be a better person, or do you crave the chaos?
And what are you drawn to? Despite of what you want, what are you like?
Well, not even where you crave. What are you drawn to? It's what is your potential? So much of this season in particular is about trying to drive the potential out of people, which leads to my favorite episode of the entire year.
Favorite episode?
It's Forks.
Is it Forks? It's fucking Forks.
Here's the thing. Forks is one of the best episodes of any show that I've ever seen in my entire stupid life. It's Eben Moss-Bachrach. It is.
Who, by the way,
here's the
has
thing.
Incredible chemistry with John Barenthal.
Hey, here's the thing.
From his Punisher days.
I don't know about you guys. I never thought that I could be driven to tears to a needle drop of Taylor Swift's love story. But here I fucking am sobbing.
I'm sitting there cheering for him. It's like, fuck yeah.
Don't send me. Like, as he's just hitting a fucking speed bump flying down through Chicago streets that I've driven down.
It's such a victory.
It is.
You keep expecting him to fuck up this entire episode.
That's the thing. And it's just kind of a show of just like sometimes you just like you do get these little wins in your life. And it's not always going to work out. It's not always going to be perfect, as we're eventually going to see in the finale. But like it's these little moments now. It's personal growth can still happen like amid the chaos, amid all of the turmoil, we can still find a way. We can still do better. It's such a hopeful show in a way that doesn't feel disingenuous, like something like, obviously we aren't going to mention it on this episode, but something like Ted Lasso, where it's like, it's hopeful, but in a way that's just like
very hollow.
It feels so like Obama era America of just like hope is the way. Like it's so hollow and barren.
I won't tolerate seasons 1 and 2 slander of Ted Lasso. You can slander season 3 all you want.
It was such a disaster.
Here's the thing. I really, really love season 1, season 2 of Ted Lasso.
We had it on our top 10.
And there's a reason why we have not mentioned season 3 on this list, is because it reaches a point where it is hollow. Dane, you of all people should know, I'm not gonna slander the boy who created our favorite show of the 2000s, Scrubs. The creator of Scrubs, who wound
Cougar Town. Cougar Town is my favorite show of the 2000s.
Okay, yeah, that too. No, I just think that this is something that is such a special show. I think that the way that it makes time for its peripheral cast members, even like as we were watching the show, it's just like there's a whole arc where it's with Tina and Ira just like going off to learn their own little culinary mastery.
He can't do it.
And wow, that's like a weaker episode. It's by no means a weak episode.
The thing is
it's
that
necessary to flesh out this world.
It's weaker in the hindsight of the entire season, but as I was watching, I was like, God damn, that shit was compelling. Like in the moment, it still works incredibly well.
It knows how to treat the little details of the show, of the plot, of the characters. And that's got to be what it does the best.
Yeah, every single character in this show serves a very specific function within this ecosystem, within this family, this found family. And they're all buying into it. No one is there because they're being forced to be there. They all want to be there. They all want to make this project better. And there's so much beautiful, like real, not hollow, but like real tangible hope in that. And the idea of these people like having that buy-in of wanting to not only improve themselves, but the people around them. And knowing that the work that they're doing isn't just the best that it could be, but it's the best that they all can be together. And the thing that they're making together is the best it can be because it's a collaboration.
Yeah, because of everyone else.
And there's like the whole thing where it's like, I mean, this comes up in Forks, and I think this is where it's like blatantly stated. It's like Carmy believes in all of these people, whether or not they believe in themselves. And they don't even necessarily believe that Carmy believes in them. And so the entire season is just these people learning to trust each other and themselves and, grow. And, whether that means they want to like professionally develop, or with Abraham, his character, he's like, I'm kind of happy where I am, but I want to. Yeah, he doesn't like leave them behind. He's like, I want to be a part of this, but like, I'm not the guy that you
put me at want me to.
Yeah, put me where I need to be. Don't like try and put me in a place that we both don't think I am.
Right,
at.
But also right now, right? Like that's the other thing too. Is maybe later on he can be, but he doesn't want to go. Every single person is evolving at their own different tempo, and each episode takes the form of that tempo. Like the episode where Sydney is trying to figure out the menu, and you see the flashes of Chicago and all the different pasta iterations. Like that episode, the way that episode is constructed, the way it feels, the way it's edited, is because of the way she is progressing through her journey. And that episode is completely different from Forks or from Fishes. Like the manic attack of Fishes is just that story for Carmy's journey. And that's the beauty of like how all these episodes are put together, is like, we're seeing a through line of how all these people, where they're all at, but each one is we're approaching each one in a completely different way.
It's also, though, it's very important, and I guess spoilers for the last episode of The Bear, but like it's important that we shout out Fishes in comparison to other episodes of the season of The Bear, because where the rest of this season is about like seeing our characters grow and see where they are going. It's kind of notable that the Carmi episode is stuck in the past. He cannot get over this. He is still stuck here. So while everybody else in this entire season
They're all looking
has been
forward.
growing and like evolving and learning to work together, as we get into the last episode, he still cannot fucking get over this manic level. He's still stuck in season 1, episode 7, the Oneer episode. He's still like, is just like, I need the chaos because that's the only way. Like, I can only survive in a world where I'm yelling at you and you are yelling back at me. And he is not able to live in like a healthy, sustainable way.
The choice to put him in the fridge.
Yeah,
so
such a good storytelling.
It's incredible.
choice.
I want to shout out.
I mean that him being in the fridge with like the PTSD of watching the tickets come out of the thing is like,
it's so. And the thing is,
if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you see that shit. And like,
dude.
There are parts of this show where if you've ever worked in a kitchen or just any service industry, but especially in a kitchen, like I think all three of us have at some point in time, it hurts you, man. But
it's so loving too.
It's loving in a way that's just it's something where it's like Christopher Storer, my boy, has been in there. He has lived in the weeds there. He knows what it's like.
It's kind of like, it's a show about people who work in a kitchen, right? But it's like this season also to some degree is like, what if it was like you have this kitchen and everybody in there was just like, if you could do this to the best of your ability, if you could have everything you needed or wanted handed to you, how would you do it? Would you do it? Right? It's because this is like, it's not just like, season 1, they're working in a failing restaurant. Season 2, it's like
they're building it back up.
Yeah, we have the chance. We have the opportunity to make something great.
Exactly.
And we already thought we were great, but it was a bad situation. If you had the opportunity to do it perfectly, would it still end up perfect?
Yeah. What does it take? Like, what is?
Are you on to put it in?
Yeah. The choice to wait until the final episode to open the restaurant is masterful, because we spent all of season 1 in the restaurant, and then for season 2 to be like, okay, we're going to go a whole season out of the restaurant. We'll see. Let's see what happens when we take these people out of the restaurant, and we're preparing. Like, we're heading in that direction, but it's going to take the whole season to get there.
You think the season finale is going to be the relief? You think that's going to be the, we did it. We did it, boys. We're all there. And it's like kind of that, but also
they passed the
discussion.
I'm really happy for everybody else and how they all grew and evolved.
Except for our central force at all of this, which is Jeremy Allen White. And I gotta give a shout out to Molly Gordon, who plays Claire, she's like
beautiful eyes. That's what I have to say about her.
Here's the thing:
she has an incredible performance.
I will say,
I think she's underutilized.
Molly Gordon and Jeremy Allen White, two of the most beautiful pairs of eyes in like working,
and the shots together. Are so close to the extreme close.
They are just, because here's the thing: both of them have like the biggest and most compelling and like bright eyes that you have ever seen in your fucking life. Like, it's they know exactly what they are doing with the framing of that. But I think that their relationship together, and then this almost like false dichotomy kind of thing that Jeremy Allen White originally makes up, and then AO kind of picks up, and then it gets reflected back on him of like, you have to choose. It's either personal or business. You can never have both. You can never be satisfied with both.
It's wild because everybody's presenting him with the like, we're so happy that you have a girlfriend, but also like you have to care about the restaurant more than you care about anything else.
So but it's mostly him that's putting that pressure on, and that's the thing that I think.
Yeah, nobody's saying don't care about Claire. He's the one who is like,
yeah, it's all entirely
he's just like his mom. He's self-destructive.
That's where I think that is going to be the central through line of season 3. If I had to make a prediction of where this is going to go, because if I might guess it's going to go into their relationship, and also probably Ao and Marcus. I can at least hope in my own fan theory heart. I just want that to happen.
I saw some Twitter shit where somebody was like, I need Ao and Jeremy to fall in love over the course of 4 seasons. I'm like, are we watching the same fucking show? Like,
I absolutely do not.
That would be terrible.
Please,
this isn't will they, won't they? This is I know they shouldn't, and I never want them to.
Get the fuck away from her, okay? I do not want you to destroy everything that Ao is doing right now, that Sydney is doing. No, I just... this is one of those shows. It's a few shows. It's one of those very few shows where I'm like, I just want things to fucking work out for these people. Can we please just have like nice things happen here? I just want nice things to happen here, and also to be a satisfying story.
And I have one party without drugging the kids.
Well, as long as it's safe, they get up.
A couple quick shout outs. Alex Moffat as Josh.
Yeah, we get to see Alex Moffat smoke fucking meth in the alley. That's awesome.
That's honestly perfect deployment of Alex Moffat.
I saw Alex Moffat early in the season. I'm like, he's too high profile for this job that they have him do.
Right.
Dane, I have a very important question for you. What is a better use of Alex Moffat? Is it this, or is it Cake?
Is he the host of Visit Cake?
He's not the host of Visit Cake.
Who's the host
of Mikey Day? Okay. Mikey Day is like shitty knockoff Alex Moffat.
Close.
Dane, I've watched like 3 episodes of Visit Cake in the last 3 days, and I didn't even realize that was...
You watched more than I did.
It would be better if it was Alex Moffat and not Mikey Day.
We go
a better show.
We go Beck Bennett. And then we have Alex Moffat, who's knockoff Beck Bennett. And then we have Mikey Day, who's knockoff Alex Moffat.
Here's the thing. Alex Moffat is at least capable of doing like the acid, like I macrodosed.
He's got comedy chops.
He's got a couple bits in there.
I don't know if he's got the ability to write anything that I think is funny.
Also, Abby Elliott as Sugar, I thought really shined this season.
Abby Elliott's great.
She's kind of the mom of the group, and she does a great job kind of keeping the ship running as everyone else is just spinning out.
My favorite episode being the one with Lionel is, that's my. I think Lionel Boyce of Odd Future fame. Really great to see, because it's like he was always kind of the actor of the group, right? But it's really nice to see him like fully elevated.
He was up there at the I don't know, I think it was the Golden Globes.
Yeah,
he gave the speech.
That right.
It's like you go from Odd Future to the Golden Globes. That's nuts.
That's cool.
And also Matty Matheson, who's a real life chef.
Neil
Neil Fack is not a actor at all, and
we're gonna get more of him in season 3. I'm sure of it, because
we got the whole Fack family now, because Claire is a Fack. So we're just gonna keep getting more facts entering the fold.
Lots of facts. Incredible show. Just to shout out again, I think Forks is a masterpiece.
Shout out to Oliver Platt, who plays Uncle Jimmy. Man, just fucking love that guy. And like every single scene he's in, that's the thing about the show, is like from scene to scene, you're just like, oh my God, this guy, that is the core of the show. And then you're like, you see this guy and you're like, oh man, that's the meat and potatoes of the show. That's who you love. And then he just jumps around.
We can shout out Old Guys and Diners with, he's got triples of the Nova and shit. That guy rocked.
The deal just went through. Yeah.
Every single acting performance and all of the writing and all of the directing was just incredibly
masterful.
It really is one of those things where like, yes, there's going to be more of The Bear, and like there isn't going to be more of Succession, more of these other shows. The thing is that like I don't want to take advantage of this particular season of TV because
it's that good.
The thing is that like there is more likely than not season 3 of The Bear will not be as good as season 2 of The Bear. Like just factually, just odds are that they produced a 10 out of 10 season. The odds are in their favor that they aren't going to produce another 10 out of 10 season. Like this is one of the best seasons of TV I've ever seen in my entire life. And like, I don't know if they're going to be able to do this again. If they do,
but they did, but they just did.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If they do,
season 1 was perfect.
Season 1 was pretty much perfect. They're in like the most rare.
Yeah, they perfected perfection. And
I'm just like, I just don't want to take this for granted. Like that we are living in the era that we are.
The age
like
of the Bear.
We're living in the age of the Bear. So
we did it.
Go Chicago.
Yeah.
The Bear is Hunter's number 1 and Dane and I's number 2. That's our list. Real quick, rapid fire. Honorable mentions before we go. The 3rd season of Dave, I thought was really strong.
People are still watching.
I don't think I watched the 3rd season.
Very good, very very good. Lots of star power. I will be submitting this season for a few categories, shouting out some of the absolute knockout guest stars in the 3rd season of The Bear
or
of Dave.
Oh, yeah. Dave.
I have bad news for you, which is that me and Drew will not vote for those because we have not seen
them. I'll shout them out next week.
Okay.
Mrs. Davis on Peacock.
I'm happy for you and Damon Lindelof.
My beloved Damon Lindelof with one of the weirdest shows ever about a nun fighting an artificial intelligence.
That's
and also
awesome,
the Holy
actually.
Grail.
Yeah, sure. This is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, dude. That's what I'm hearing.
Fargo season 5 just wrapped up last night. I thought it was really strong. John Hamm finally starting to break out of the Don Draper mold. He's very sinister, really just off-putting in this role as like a very kind of Trumpian, evangelical, just madman he's like a sheriff running a ranch. Also, Juno Temple. Speaking of Ted Lasso, she's incredible in this.
Yeah,
I love Juno Temple.
Can we shout out half of Ted Lasso that was incredible, and then just ignore the other half of Ted Lasso that was just hot garbage?
It was so uneven. The other two, really, really, really funny show. On
so you
HBO
want to talk
Max.
about the behind the scenes or?
Just a knockout, like hilarious show. It's so good.
Everybody got along behind the scenes.
Yeah,
all the cast
it was
and crew,
a really healthy
the director.
behind the scenes.
What We Do in the Shadows, consistently just an absolutely hilarious show.
It was like a consistent 7 for me this season. I think they peaked in season 3.
Yeah,
season 3.
I agree with that.
I think that
I just love these characters. I just love like vibing with them. The new season's going to be the final one. So
yeah.
And then some slop. Loki. Season 2. Ahsoka. Ahsoka. The slop was rotten this year, guys. Like truly abhorrent.
Shout out to Sarah Tudson of Illuminati Hotties for writing a song that appeared in the Ahsoka show.
That show was really bad.
Them checks.
The Mandalorian bad. Secret Invasion, one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Secret Invasion. Ugh.
You guys, you don't have to keep watching this. You can just stop. Here's the thing. I reached a point where I was like, I think I'm done. And then I was just done. I enjoyed Loki season 1, and I just decided not to partake in anymore.
Loki season 1 is awesome. Loki season 2, I thought was like, wow, you're paying this much money for a police procedural.
Remember when they decided to invest their entire future in a sexual assault deviant?
Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A guy who definitely somebody in this pod said that he was going to be an Oscar winner in the next 5 years. We cannot.
We're all trying to find the guy who did this.
We're all trying to figure out who it was who was all in on Last Black Band San Francisco.
Man,
since it came up, I got to shill Silo.
I'm going to watch it.
Common had a pretty solid acting performance.
I love Rebecca Ferguson.
I will say, I've had multiple people at my job who have said like Silo rules. Like just random like normies who don't dive in, but are just like, I have free Apple TV because of my iPhone, who are just like Silo is incredible.
I think my buddy Vinny was like, you should watch Silo. And I was like, well, I'm teleworking today. I'll just throw it on in the background. And by the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I'm not actually doing work anymore. I'm very invested in this.
Any other honorable mentions?
I was going to shout out, it's only 4 episodes, so it was never going to make my list, but something that I really enjoyed was Pokemon Concierge.
Oh, you watched that?
Yeah.
That's really cute. It's
a really, really well done piece of stop motion animation that just popped up on Netflix at the end of the year. It's 4 episodes. In total, it's like, I don't know, like 50 minutes. So it's like not really a like comprehensive piece of television. But
I was figuring at some point I'd like come home from the bars and be like, this is a good time to throw this on.
Honestly, that's a perfect time for it. It's like it's a dub of like a Japanese children's story. So it's like I want to learn about how like we should learn to be more extroverted as human beings and like things like that. It's like kind of like simple
find
stories.
Places
like
and weird places.
It's Psyduck plays a key role, which I've always been a big Psyduck defender, so that's good for me. I have a long list of things that like I just missed out on that I'm really sad about. That is headlined by Fall of the House of Usher, which is just a major miss by me. As just
these are my confessions. Just one.
Dane, you of all people.
Yeah, we've got a bond.
Dane, how you and I have literally created a Fall of the House of Usher
website
like back in 10th grade at Child's High School together. This is a big miss by me that I just kind of ran out of time to watch, and then I was just like, well, this feels bad to binge because I don't want to disrespect my boy like that. But that and then Daisy Jones and the Six are 2 shows where it's just.
I've got a friend who's been hyping that up, and
here's the thing. 2023, one of the things that's going to be defined by is I've gotten into more than anything. I meant to talk about this in our music episode, but like I've gotten into a lot of older music. Big thing was REM, and another big thing was Fleetwood Mac. Is I've gotten really deep into Fleetwood Mac in the last year, and I have wanted to make the dive into Daisy Jones and the Six because it's kind of like a
modern Fleetwood Mac,
kind of
not modern, but just fictional
modern.
It's I don't know how you can describe it because it's like a fictional documentary of what Fleetwood Mac was. Like there is a Stevie Nicks type character. There is a
and they all have sex with each other.
Kind of very dramatic.
But that's another one that I just missed.
All right, Dane, anything else?
I forgot I was going to do a bit for my number 1. I was going to say that my favorite season of TV in 2023 was The Summer I Turned Pretty season 2.
Ew.
Let's go.
And I wish I could have gotten an authentic reaction to me saying that, but this is what I get.
That really? Did you really watch that?
No, I didn't watch that.
Oh, God. I was about to say. That's what all like the Gen Z people I work with watch. Like whenever they talk about TV, they're like, oh, yeah, The Summer I Turned Pretty. I'm like, this is a fake show. These are all fake people. I don't know what you're talking about. Have you seen The Bear? No? Okay.
Liz Lemon wrote this for an episode of 30 Rock, I swear.
All right. Well, we can wrap it up there. Thank you all for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know your thoughts on everything we talked about, all the shows on our top 10s. Thank you so much, Dane, for coming on. Is there any parting words, anything you want to plug and let the people know?
Spay and neuter your pets. Go read One Piece. Don't watch it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, man. We're going to have you back for the Tom series.
Yeah, I've got a movie I haven't seen before. I've believe it is Saving Private Ryan, which I now have to
You've
rent.
never seen Saving Private Ryan? Oh my God.
I'm a TV guy, not a movie guy.
That's going to be nuts.
Dane,
Okay.
I'm going to figure out the perfect 40-minute clips of Saving Private Ryan. I'm going to spit it up to you in like increments so you can digest it the way that you're used to.
Digest it in 40-minute clip. That's like 2 40-minute clips, man.
No, it's like 3.
Yeah.
It's a longer movie.
It's a long boy.
Yeah.
We're excited for that. That'll be fun. Yeah. In the meantime, check out weboughtamic.net to get every episode in your inbox. Join the Discord. Thank you, donors, for donating. Thank you, Rumpy, for sponsoring this episode.
When would you have taken a pee during this? Is that any time that Drew was talking?
What's the best show to pee during? How to John Wilson, How to Pee.
No.
How to
No,
go pee.
you don't want to miss a goddamn second of that show.
Yeah, you're gonna come back and there's gonna be guys like hanging dong with like weights attached to their foreskin, and you're gonna be very confused. Based on a true story.
Probably The Last of Us during the gay episodes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm going to the
Because
bathroom.
gay
to
people,
pee.
they just keep peeing. Wherever they go together, that's what gay guys do, right? It's just two dudes that just they
it's
share
two
a toilet.
penises and then they piss into each other's urethra.
That's what they want to. Yeah, that's what the gays do.
Patreon.com/weboughtamic. Thank you all for listening and supporting. Stick around for the Wabamies. Next week, we put a final bow on 2023.
It's a black tie event for both you and I. So if you're listening, you have to be wearing a black tie while listening to the Wabamies.
We give out our awards. We give out our Scoot Hogs. It'll be a great time. So stick around. Thanks again, Dane. We'll see
Thanks
you
for
next time.
having me.
We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.